Michelle Hinchey. Tim Hinkle.
Present.
Danny Loggins. Michelle Means.
Here.
Jason Ragland.
Here.
Cindy Seiler.
Here.
Andy Tree.
Here.
Rick Watts.
Here.
Wayne Richard.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Andy is present. Brother Kevin, we come to you today, Lord, and we just want to give you praise right now. We invite you into this place, in our hearts. And Lord, we just ask you to lead, guide, and direct in this meeting tonight. Help us to make good and wise decisions. And we just want to pray for this county tonight, Lord, and the citizens thereof. And God, we just want to do right by you and right by them. We ask you to just keep us safe, watch over us, again, lead, guide, and direct us. And all these things I ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Last month's minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We got ordinance 2023-42, appropriation ordinance.
Appropriation ordinance 2023-42, being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Searcy, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled to amend the 2023 annual operating budget and to appropriate funds and to allow the county judge to administer said appropriation. Whereas at the July 2023 Searcy County Quorum Court meeting, it was voted unanimously to give the Searcy County Humane Society a one-time grant of $2,500. Therefore, the following appropriation is approved. Fund 3046, American Rescue Plan, Office 0116, Grants and Aid, Account 3103, Grants and Aid, in the amount of $2,500. Whereas this ordinance herein enacted as an appropriation ordinance and therefore is effective immediately.
Motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-42.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
We got ordinance 2023-43.
Being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Searcy, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Establishing the Searcy County Law Library Board. Pursuant to ACA 16-23-102, the Searcy County Law Library shall be under the control of the Searcy County Law Library Board, which will be made up of not less than 3 and not more than 5 persons who shall be practicing attorneys residing in Searcy County. The Law Library Board members shall be appointed by the county judge.
Motion second.
Okay, I have a quick question. If we don't have the 3 to 5, what do we do?
We've got 3.
We've got 3. And is it a conflict of interest for an elected official that is an attorney to be on that board?
That's
We
been-
checked on that.
That's been answered and you will not.
He's not.
He's not eligible.
Not
Okay.
one.
And you still have 3? Okay.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2023-43.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we go to new business. Clyde?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. I am speaking on behalf of Extension. My name is Clyde Fenton, and I'm your county ag agent with the Cooperative Extension Service. I wanted to take the opportunity, we've got a new agent. His name is Chris Roof. He's our Family Consumer Science agent, just started today. So I'm introducing him to people and showing them around Searcy County. What I'm here for tonight, though, is to talk to you about 4-H program assistant position. And I'm not actually appealing to you for the position, I'm presenting it, and it would be up to you if you would want to add this position. The judge approached me probably a month ago and said, you know, we had this position in the past, why is it we don't at this time? Well, at the time that, and Pam is here tonight, at the time that Pam retired, I do not know the reasons, but for whatever reason, they did not pursue replacing her. And so the position has sat open. What it would take to reinstate that position would be a contribution from the Quorum Court of, I got it, put these sheets in your packet this month. It would be $11,250 a year. An extension would mean that with a matching that would cover the cost. That would be a half-time position, which is a position that existed in the past. Now, this is opinion on my part. I really do believe it would be a very beneficial thing for the county. Someone in that position, 4-H would be their focus, and they would be able to work in the schools and in community clubs, and that would be their singular focus. The other 2 agents that work in that office, our primary roles are agriculture and family consumer science, and we share some of those responsibilities and would continue to. We would assist in the 4-H program, but we would have someone that would have a singular focus. I really believe it would be a benefit. You know, when you look at the county fair here, most of the entries to the county fair, not all of them, you've got adult entries, but most of the entries to the county fair are going to 4-H, FFA, and then adult entries. We had about 100 young people on our rolls this year. You know, what is happening is they're signing up for 4-H so that they can show. We tried to initiate something this last year where they would be part of 3 meetings. It's a little bit hard to enforce. If we had an agent, we could enforce it. It's not about enforcement, it's really about providing opportunities for young people. As I had been here for a year, I've been here about a year and 4 months now, you know, I really think there's tremendous potential in community clubs and also in project clubs. The difference between those 2 clubs would be the community club meets 12 times a year, they have a regular meeting, they're kind of a shotgun approach. They handle 4-H from every aspect. The project clubs, and I really see incredible potential because my observation has been with our pool of young people here, they all do everything. They play baseball, they play basketball, they're in FFA. And one more meeting, they don't always make it to them. But a project club, that would be 6 times a year, and it would be something they were passionate about. They could be in a beef project club. They could be in a robotics project club. Whatever the interests were, we could develop a club that's specialized there. And if we had a person in that position, they could kind of oversee that and administrate that. So basically that's the deal. We could bring someone in here and have a program assistant that would work 20 hours a week, that their focus would be exclusively 4-H, but that would be a decision of the Quorum Court. But that's what it would take to do that. So any questions that I might be able to answer?
I'm sorry, what was the cost again? I didn't have that in my packets.
It was $11,250, and that's what the county, now, do any of you want this? I have extra copies of these here tonight.
I would, yes, please.
Please.
Okay. On the second page, I actually highlighted, I felt it was useful for you to know the base program. And so the base program is the top, which is highlighted. The county is already paying $30,000 a year for extension to be here, which maintains the office, and it gives us 2 agents here in the county. So the program assistant position would be in addition to that. And it outlines that. There's actually a little written explanation about those staffing options there, it talks a little bit about those. Extra? Okay. Anyone else?
When we have our budget committee meeting, your department will be invited, and at that point, that'd be a good time and place for us to look at that.
Okay, I'd be glad to come and share it there.
That would be occurring within probably the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, okay. All right, I appreciate your time tonight, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we got a property annex ordinance 2023-44.
Judge, I have, Mr. Chad Brown on speakerphone, for any questions. Hi, Chad. Nobody can hear you. No, I mean, I can hear you, but the audience can't. Basically, it looks, may I address? So, this ordinance, basically, this is just formalities, as Mr. Chad has explained to us. It looks statutorily as if the city has all authority to pass their, I guess, ordinance, bringing these properties into the boundaries of the city of Marshall. And so I guess this is just a formality, but Mr. Chad will explain that it could be that this isn't even something that's needed. So I will support this. And so we will need to do a full reading of this. Mr. Brown?
Well, if you're gonna pass an ordinance, you do need to go through the reading process. I mean, unless someone, there's always the option for someone to vote to suspend the full reading of the ordinance. But if you like me to kind of touch on it, my comments about this ordinance in general. What the city of Marshall appears to be doing is taking in enclave property. This is property that is surrounded on all sides by city property. Kind of sits as an island outside of the city. And when you're dealing specifically with enclave property, I do not believe that it is necessary for an ordinance to be passed for the city to be able to take that in. That's my looking at the ordinances, or my looking at the statutes today, and also just kind of my general understanding of the way enclaves and annexation of enclaves works. So there are some situations where the county does need to act and pass an ordinance to approve an annexation, but I actually don't know that it applies in this situation. I have a feeling that the city is asking for this just to make sure there's no opposition from the county for what you're doing, but I don't know if it's necessary for them to get that from you.
Can I address that
Yes.
also? This past Monday, I spent the afternoon at the Secretary of State's office. I took the annexation package with me to Little Rock. I spoke directly with the person who does the annexation paperwork. Unfortunately, I spoke with Amy and not with the mayor, and so I wasn't aware that this was even on the agenda to this afternoon. The Secretary of State's office indicated what our attorney just said. It's not necessary for the Quorum Court to pass this ordinance. I've already submitted the paperwork for the 3 annexations, and I've signed off because although I didn't know it, the county clerk is involved in this annexation process also. So I've signed off. They actually have it in hand in Little Rock right now. And so this would be just something to put in our back pocket in case anything was to come up. But according to Little Rock and the person who actually does this, Quorum Court does not have to do an ordinance.
Well, I move then that we table this. There's no reason to busy the Quorum Court with reading this lengthy ordinance. I support what the mayor and the city council has done because it's well within their statutory right to do it. And so I would just move to just, I don't know, Mr. Brown, would we don't vote against this, we could just vote to table it?
Yeah, absolutely. Table it, just basically to take any action. You come back to it next month if something needs to be done, or you can simply let it die for lack of a motion. And
I move that we table ordinance, 2023-44, and because of the fact that it's really not germane to the Quorum Court.
I said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we got, Cadence Bank, payoff statement.
No, I'll be happy to stay on till the meeting's over.
Okay. Sorry, Judge.
We need to read this, so it's just the Cadence Bank payoff statement?
Yeah, the first one is the payoff on the one truck, and the next one we lease on the second truck. We don't wanna lease 3 trucks, so we're gonna pay one off. If we're down one, then lease it, I need to get the payoff one down first.
So do I need to read this, we need to vote on it?
Mr. Brown, we have a payoff statement from Cadence Bank. Since it's not an ordinance or resolution, would we need to read this?
That should be something that can be handled as a county court action. It's a claim against counties, the county should be satisfied.
So we will not need to read this, and will we need to vote on this?
Is there an appropriation needed to pay to this line?
It's $105,000.
There's not an appropriation ordinance.
Well, that might be an issue, especially if it's how, what money comes from, how it's impacted.
Michelle, you have a senior here. We need an appropriation ordinance for this, right? We're going to pay this off? Or is that within the jurisdiction of the judge to move
It's
within?
within his monies, I don't think, and there's nothing to be moved for him to pay it
But
off.
it has to be within an
It'll be
appropriation.
solid waste.
That's what this next resolution is about, correct?
It's on leasing another one, two pages.
This is payoff.
This is payoff, and we don't have to pay it off right now. So we can table this or whatever. This here needs to be passed, the other one, but we can pay that off anytime.
And the attorney seems to think that that's under the judge's.
So do we move the table, this payoff statement until we determine whether we need an appropriation ordinance for
That is
this?
fine, man.
I move that we table this payoff statement until we look at whether there's an appropriation ordinance needed. We'll bring it up next Quorum Court.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next one, resolution 2023-15.
Oh, I forgot all of this.
Got 2 pages.
Okay, there's a blank page in between, so I was hoping I had everything. Okay. Resolution authorizing and approving execution of an equipment lease purchase agreement with Cadence Equipment Finance, division of Cadence Bank. Whereas Quorum Court, the governing body of Searcy County, Arkansas, the leasing, acting for and on behalf of the leasing hereby finds, determines, and adjudicates the following as follows. The leasing desires to enter into equipment lease purchase agreement with the lease schedule and the exhibits attached thereunto in substantially the same form as attached hereunto as Exhibit A, collectively the agreement with Cadence Bank Equipment Finance, a division of Cadence Bank, the lessor, for the purpose of leasing with an option to purchase the equipment as described herein for the total cost specified therein, the equipment. It is in the best interest of the public purposes of the leasee that the leasee lease with an option to purchase the equipment pursuant to, in accordance with the terms of the agreement. 3, it is necessary for the leasee to approve and authorize the agreement. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body for and on behalf of the leasee as follows. Section 1, the agreement and exhibits attached thereunto is substantially the same form as attached hereunto as Exhibit A by and between the lessor and the leasee is hereby approved, and Tony Horton, County Judge, the authorized officer, is hereby authorized and directed to execute said agreement on behalf of the leasee. Section 2, the agreement is being issued in calendar year 2023. Neither any portion of the gross proceeds of the agreement nor the equipment identified to the agreement shall be used directly or indirectly in a trade or business carried on by any person other than a government unit, except for such use as a member of the general public. Section 4, no portion of the rental payments identified in the agreement is secured directly or indirectly by property used or to be used in a trade or business carried on by a person other than a government unit, except for such use as a member of the general public, or by payments in respect of such property, or is to be derived from payments whether or not to the leasee in respect of property or borrowed money used or to be used for a trade or business carried on by any person other than a government unit. No portion of the gross proceeds of the agreement are used directly or indirectly to make or finance loans to persons other than governmental units. The authorized officer is further authorized for and on behalf of the governing body and the leasing to do all things necessary in furtherance of the obligations of the leasing pursuant to the agreement, including execution and delivery of all other documents necessary or appropriate to carry out the transactions contemplated thereby in accordance with the terms and provisions thereof. The leasee desires to designate the agreement as a qualified tax-exempt obligation of the leasee as defined in section 265B(3) of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. The agreement, the aggregate face amount of all tax-exempt obligations, excluding private activity bonds other than qualified 501c3 bonds, issued or to be issued by the leasing and all subordinate entities thereof during the current calendar year is not reasonably expected to exceed. Is that $10,000? Is that $10 million? I'm not used to that many. The leasing and all subordinate entities thereof will not issue or enter in excess of $10 million of tax-exempt obligations, including the agreement but excluding private activity bonds other than qualified 501c3 bonds during the current calendar year, without first obtaining an opinion of nationally recognized counsel in the area of tax-exempt municipal obligations acceptable to the leaseor, that the designation of the agreement as a qualified tax-exempt obligation will not be adversely affected. Following the reading of the foregoing resolution, and this is just one. So, the motion had to be, I'm going to address that. So.
The question that I have, how does this pertain to appropriations? Is this a replacement for the truck that was salvaged out?
Yeah.
And so, how does the purchase of this or the lease of this play into your budget? Is it going to add?
It's gonna be we've got 2 of them leased right now. We're gonna pay this and off with the insurance, and we have to add some to it, and we're still, when we lease this, it's gonna be it's gonna be the same.
So
we get this paid off.
So it's a net wash on cost?
There'll be some added to it.
There'll be some added to it.
You don't have any idea what that is.
About 60, what was it, Daniel, 65,000?
Yeah. Yep.
What we add to pay the one off, after you get the insurance. That's the reason we're gonna pay it off, but it won't lease 3 of them.
with solid waste? Well, obviously, we have to buy it, I just wanted to ask the question. So, the extra $60,000, that will increase your payment by how much, do you know?
The 60,000 will come out, it'll go in paying one off. What we got leased right now. Lease is, the payoff is 105,000,
Yeah, 105,000 to pay off.
the payoff on what we got. That got leased right
And
now.
so the insurance company is paying how much?
40.
40,000.
And we have that money is, the biggest part of that money is in the equipment and machinery. It's already budgeted in
She's
there.
got the money.
So the money, that's what I'm asking, is
Yeah,
you have an
money already
appropriation,
budgeted.
Yeah, she's got the money.
so this money has been appropriated, so it's just a matter of,
Releasing this new truck.
Yeah, and we've been down one and they've had time.
Yeah. I bet, that's hard.
They was putting trash in dumpsters at the shop today because the trucks were full.
and this is a new truck?
Yes. In 2 years, we can release or buy.
Is what the insurance paying, is that fair? If we still.
That's all they had it issued for.
Ah,
It appraised for 54.
It appraised for 54 and that it was only insurance.
It's only issued for 40. But it was the older truck, is the one we own. Can I get a motion?
I move to pass resolution 2023-15.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Who second?
Danny.
Do we have to do a voice count? Voted,
Well, it says that we're supposed to.
We could, do a roll call?
so it looks like we have to. Okay.
Michelle Hinchy, Tim Hinkle,
Yes.
Danny Loggins,
Yes.
Michelle Means,
yes.
Jason Ragland,
Yes.
Cindy Siler,
Yes.
Andy Tree,
Yes.
Rick Watts,
Yes.
Wayne Witcher.
Yes.
Thank you. Phillip?
My name's Phillip McAdams. I want to read this and throw it on that 5 minutes. John Forrest.
Clean that up, is that my fault?
All right. Dear County Judge, Quorum Court, citizens of Searcy County. Topic that brings me here tonight is a sensitive one, and one that carries a negative aspect to it for some, for personal or religious beliefs, but yet for others, it symbolizes a positive move forward and hope for change. Either way you view this issue, it is your right to do so. That being said, first and foremost, we must acknowledge the economic benefits of making our county wet. The revenue generated from the sale of alcohol would significantly boost our local economy. This additional income could be utilized to improve public services, maintain infrastructure, and fund indispensable community programs. Also, the sale of alcoholic beverages would attract more tourists, as tourists often choose destinations that offer a diverse range of entertainment and dining, leading, of course, to increased revenue from tourism. Our county, like most counties, face several challenges, such as improving our educational system, enhancing healthcare services, and addressing infrastructure needs. The funds generated from alcohol sales can provide us with the necessary resources to take these pressing issues without increasing the tax burden on the residents. Title III, Chapter 8 of the Arkansas statutes allow for the circulation of a petition, and because of this, I wish to inform everyone here tonight and all those absent that Searcy County residents and myself intend on pursuing a local option petition so that everybody can voice their opinion on said topic. Thank you all, and I encourage you to engage in thoughtful and informed discussion on this issue. Together, we can make the right decision for the prosperity of our community. This is just a courtesy. That's just basically what it is. I think there's nothing more than that. It's a long way from finished. Just more of a courtesy. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, County Judge.
Next, we got the area agency of aging.
Hello, everyone. My boss just went outside, so she's gonna be the one, she had to go to the restroom. She'll be in a minute. What we're gonna talk about is what we're needing for the senior center. My name's Giselle Treat, I'm the director, and I come to you asking, for help, to help us to fix a lot of the repairs that we need. She has everything written down on her thing, but what we need, the biggest need for us is a water heater. Ours is starting to leak, and it is really an expensive fix. We don't have a lot of money in our budget for stuff like this, but I'm gonna hand out my budget, okay? What I have to raise, what I'm supposed to be raising, and that's why I do so many fundraisers. Because I'm responsible for raising part of this money. And a lot of this doesn't get covered by this, you know. Yeah, that would be great.
That happened.
My name is Angie Dunlap, and I appreciate you allowing us to come and visit with the court regarding the Searcy County Senior Center. I work for the Area Agency on Aging, and I'm the Director of Senior Center Services, and I oversee the Senior Center program here in Northwest Arkansas. Giselle Treat is the Center Director here at Searcy County, and we wanted to just speak with you a little bit about what the Senior Center does, and tell you a little bit about our services for the 2022-2023 program year, and then explain to you a little bit about our budget, and then also tell you a little bit about the needs that we have at the Senior Center. So, the Searcy County Senior Center provides much needed services for senior adults aged 60 years of age and older. We provide congregate meals, socialization activities, home delivered meals to those that are homebound, and then we also provide transportation here, and we service the entire county. For the 2022-2023 program year, we served a total of 4,457 congregate meals. Those are the meals that are eaten actually in the dining room at our senior center. We've provided 4,216 units of socialization. A unit of socialization is 30 minutes of a planned activity. So things like bingo, exercise programs, educational type programs, art classes, anything that's a socialization activity. Transportation, we have provided 338 units of transportation, and a unit of transportation is a one-way trip. Home delivered meals, we actually provide 2 different home delivered meal services. We have our regular home delivered meal clients, and we provided 7,632 meals to those clients, and then we are a Medicaid meal provider, and we provide meals for Medicaid clients that are on the AR Choices Waiver Program. That total for this last program year was 7,716 meals. So total home delivered meals provided out of the Searcy County Senior Center is 15,348 meals. And those go to, if you're not familiar with that, our home delivered meal program, those are our most vulnerable senior adults where they may have food insecurities, they may not have money to purchase or have access to food. They may not be able to stand physically to prepare a meal for themselves. They may not have any family. So it's very much a needed service. You've handed out budgets. The total budget for this program year that started July 1 for the Searcy County Senior Center is $259,448. This year's fundraising goal is $68,206, which is a little over 26% of the Searcy County budget. Our funding sources are through the Older Americans Act, and it varies depending on what county you're in and what town you're in on how those funding sources, the amount that we receive. That's based on our older population, that's 60 and older, 60 and older minority, 60 and older minority low income. That's how the Area Agency on Aging receives the Older Americans Act funding from the state of Arkansas. And then we in turn put that money out on that same funding formula to the 9 counties that we serve. So that being said, that $68,206 is what has to be raised here locally to support this Searcy County Senior Center. That's just to provide services, and that is not to provide anything extra as far as what our building may need or what our program may need. So it's strictly to give services of congregate HTM, socialization and transformation. So we do have some needs at the senior center. If I can get my tablet to work. Kind of gone to sleep. There we go. We have a walk-in freezer at the senior center, and the frame, the exterior frame of that walk-in freezer has rusted and warped, and to replace that frame is $5,700. That's not something that we have in our budget for. The senior center depends on a under countertop ice maker to help with making sure that food is delivered cold to our home delivered meal clients, and then also for drinks for the congregate meals in the center. That ice maker, we've spent a couple of $1,000s on repairs on it. We've done the last repair on it and we desperately need a new one. A new ice maker is $4,958. We have an old water heater that is rusting on the bottom and it's leaking. That replacement cost is $11,716. The original part of the building was built in 1993 and we still have the original roof on it. So we have made repairs to that roof, but it is soon going to need to be replaced. We don't have an estimate on that. I will tell you with similar sized buildings throughout Northwest Arkansas, as roofs that we've had to replace recently have been $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000. And then also just some general upkeep of the senior center to make it inviting and welcoming to our seniors would to be some interior painting. We do not have an estimate back from that yet, but these are just the types of needs that we have almost every single year that are funding that we receive through the Older Americans Act and through cigarette tax and state senior citizens funding just don't support this type of improvements to the facility. Those funding sources are for services. So we just wanted to share with you what our needs were at the center, and if the Quorum Court has some ideas or some additional funding through the COVID ARPA funding that's available, we would appreciate talking to you further about the needs of the center.
Have you approached BRCEC?
You'll have to tell me what that is.
There's a resource within the county, monies generated through the additional collection of funds on those tags, the Buffalo River tag. And so there's an organization called the BRCEC, I'm involved with that. So I will, if you will contact me, I will see what we can do to put you in touch with that. And then the other observation I would make is that the COVID monies you're talking about, the 3 consecutive quorum courts, we have asserted that we need to halt spending from that fund until we tie up the loose ends, because we have monies allocated out there. We're not quite sure where that fund stands. But I would invite you to come to the budget committee meeting at some point, and do you agree with that? Those of you who are on the budget committee, and talk to us at that point, and then we can look and see maybe what ARP funds might be available.
Okay, that would be great.
But Ms. Giselle, I will reach out.
Okay.
See if we can put you in touch.
You email me or I'll email you, whichever you want.
That's great, yeah, I didn't know.
Just do both and that'll be taken care of.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appropriation orders 2033-45.
Appropriation ordinance 2023-45. Be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Searcy, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled to amend the 2023 annual operating budget and to appropriate funds and to allow the county judge to administer said appropriation. Whereas the county has received a donation of $2,500 for the sheriff's office from Simmons Bank, therefore the following appropriations approved: Fund 1,000 County General, Office 400 Sheriff, Account 2002 Small Equipment in the amount of $2,500. Whereas this ordinance herein enacted is an appropriation ordinance and therefore is effective immediately.
Motion to second item.
I make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 2023-45.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Very good. Appropriation orders 2033-46.
Appropriation ordinance 2023-46, being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Searcy, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled to amend the 2023 annual operating budget and to appropriate funds and to allow the county judge to administer said appropriation. Whereas the county has received funds from shelter insurance for claim for damages on solid waste 2019 Ford F-350 in the amount of $642.84. Therefore, the following appropriation is approved: Fund 3009, Sales Tax Fund, Office 700, Solid Waste, Account 4004, Machinery and Equipment in the amount of $642.84. Whereas this ordinance herein enacted is an appropriation ordinance and therefore is effective immediately.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2033-46.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we got appropriation ordinance 2023-47.
Appropriation ordinance 2023-47, be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Searcy, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled to amend the 2023 annual operating budget and to appropriate funds and to allow the county judge to administer said appropriation. Whereas amendment to the 2023 annual operating budget to transfer ADC, ACC, and Act 570 reimbursements in county jail and housing prisoners funds. Therefore, the following appropriation is approved to 3498 county jail operations from 1,000 county general in the amount of $89,760.
I have a question about this. This money is reimbursements from ADC to the general fund. There was a line item created for that, and there was some discussion that monies out of that general fund could not go into Fund 3498. That is, since we talked to the auditors, and that we know for sure is not the case. It can be moved anywhere, including Fund 3498. My issue is the Fund 3498 has already been, they have an appropriation to fund the budget. So are we not in essence putting an additional $89,000 into a fund when he has already received appropriations to fund his budget? They have held back, they've clawed back 120, I think, to this point there was a clawback, you know, and so by doing this, are we not, in essence, putting money into a fund? We would be overfunding the budget because he's 3498 is within his budget. So by putting this in there, we're actually increasing the fund, and he is not budgeted to spend this money, is how I see it.
It's 3498,
Because that's a jail fund.
Is it the one that like red on?
But it's only in the red because he's under budget in his spending. We've been tracking that every month. It's in the red because the funds like 3401, which is the jail surplus fund, is underperforming. And so it's a function of money being transferred out of the general fund into that 3498. So this is a shell game I'm not understanding. I think by putting this money into that fund, in essence, you're putting money in where he already has money allocated to that budget, because otherwise you couldn't pass the budget if you didn't do that. So, Michelle?
So are you saying that because we've moved money the last couple of months into that fund, that we would actually, that this would just need to stay in general since we're already funding that with additional ordinances to get them, keep them out of the red?
Well, see, at the beginning of the budget process, there was money allocated out of the general fund from, and for other things, as you know.
Yep.
And so there was some money, you know, there was a callback. And yet he is still, his operation is funded out of the general. And so if you put this additional money in there, he
So
also has this plus the money he was already allocated at the beginning of the year.
An extra 90,000 basically just to
Yeah.
spend.
Well,
Over the budget.
I wouldn't put it that way. Because,
Well,
no, I'm saying that if he's within his budget, he would. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it would just be, you guys follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he already has the money available in the general fund, if he's within his budget, and he is within his budget. It's just that the money has been moved from the general
over
into Fund 3498. So
you're
by
saying just
putting
keep it in the general, and then as we need it, move it over?
I wish Mary Beth was here, cause she was gonna wring my neck on this one, but
I agree, I think it needs to stay in county general, and then
We can move it if it
Because-
needs to be.
as needed.
because the clawback, I asked her a couple of days ago, and there's still, I don't wanna speak out of turn, but I think it's around 100,000 maybe 80. And so that money has already been appropriated. So that money still needs to be put in, and then if he runs short of the fund, it's because he's over budget, and I haven't seen that in the budget detail report.
Because what you're saying, he's been under budget all these months,
Yes,
right?
in that fund, 3498. That budget for that operation.
We appropriated the money up front, and Mary Beth being new to the office, put a big chunk of money in there when she should have waited and put it in a little at a time. And then we decided to pull some of that back out, and that's what he's talking about, the clawback. We pulled some of that money back, and then she's putting money into that as needed.
And the reason why, I mean, it's all a shell game. If the money's appropriated, it's not a problem putting money in that fund, except that it cut her balance in the general fund short, because she was dipping a little low in that general fund to fund the other 27 departments that have to draw out of it. So to me, you know how the general fund works. It just seems to me that if you've already appropriated money, why would you take this money and add on to that? or am I missing something here? Because she's already got the money available from the general fund.
And we're gonna have to fund it anyway.
Yeah.
One way or the other, we gotta come up with the money if it does go back.
But this money
So-
sits in
so
the
that's
general,
separate, yeah,
it's a line item, it's 1,000 something, I don't know, 2798 or something, I don't know. It's an additional line that the auditor said needed to be put in that general fund, a line item, because of our conversation about the ADC.
Yeah.
And then funding, and so apparently they just determined that there needed to be an additional line item put in that fund 1,000. So what she's doing is she's wanting to move money out of that and into 3498, so that's okay, but then you can't take that other money and put that into, you can't put that other money into Fund 3498 because it's already appropriated.
Right.
That's how I see it, I'm just asking.
So what do you want to do, you just want to leave it like it is?
I'm putting it up for discussion, I'm just making an observation.
Well, I'm with you, I think it needs to just stay where it's at. That's my.
Well, Mary Beth doesn't have my business planner. The point I'm making is that there's already money in that general fund, so just to be real clear here, there's already about 80. So we would just put this back, and then if we need that money, then
If we need it, then
so
we'll
let's
need it.
spend all that we've already appropriated out of the general.
First.
And then if we need more money, but then in theory, he would be over budget in order for us to do that.
Right,
And so we would be adjusting the budget at that point.
We're watching.
Is that how you guys read this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Or is that?
I typed it. Treasurer gave me the information, so
So you just
I
want
didn't
to-
look at the detail. So I don't know.
So what you're saying, you're voting in increments instead of all at once now, just.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is a question, that if we've already appropriated funds, and then we turn around, I guess it's a shell game, right?
I don't know if that's the right term.
This right here, these monies right here, we're taking additional monies and putting it into a fund that we've already appropriated.
We're basically adding $90,000.
That's the question I'm asking.
And that's what it looks like to me.
We don't wanna put money somewhere that we can't take it out, put it somewhere
Right,
else.
right.
Is that what we're?
We can take money out all day long, we just have to do it here.
It's just like the clawback though, you know, when that one lump sum was given, lump sum, and then we decided to pull that back. To me, it's just as easy to leave it where it's at, and then if we need it, we can push it over there with an ordinance. But it's easy, I mean, why push it now and then have to come back and start clawing back and saying, okay, we need to pull some of this out? I mean, to me, it's more paperwork,
So
just
for,
leave it where it's at.
I guess what I'm moving that, what I'm making a motion to do is to table this, so that, and then move all the monies appropriated out of Fund 1,000 into that 3498, and if that is exhausted and more monies are needed, then we can pull it out of this fund, this line item in the general fund. But if that happens, that means he's over budget, and so then we have other issues to deal with.
Exactly.
Because in theory, he should be, if he spends what he's supposed to spend, then he would not need more monies in that general fund, from the general fund, except, now, the little voice in my head has told me something. 3401 is underperforming, and it could underperform by $100,000, and that's the jail surplus fund. And so that could be a reason why we need to do this.
But
3401.
that's not immediate. We don't really know how that is. exactly.
Well, so far, they're underperforming. They've underperformed by about
Not so far.
$80,000.
But I still think, personally, that we need to deal with it on a need-to basis and only put in what we need to instead of dumping a large amount, just dealing with it. If we gotta deal with it the next November and December, if we see that there's a shortfall because that anticipated is not coming in, then we can move it over. But to me, it's easier to do that than it is to dump one large sum in there and then try to figure out where we're at when it comes budget time.
I didn't bring my spreadsheet, but I have running numbers on where that jail surplus fund is at, and I know it's underperforming significantly. So I think this money will eventually have to go in there, but I'm thinking what we should do is let her push the rest of the money in that she clawed back, and then next month, if we need this
And then
money,
see where we're at.
then we'll take this money and we'll push it in.
You know, table it. Motion to table it?
I don't wanna make that motion.
I'll make a motion that we table 23-47.
I second it.
All in favor?
You're out of hot water right now.
Now you're out of hot water.
Sandy,
Although that was CYA.
you're up.
Thanks.
You like to follow that, don't you?
Yeah, that's great, yeah. All right, so I was approached by one of my constituents, April and Victor Boyd. There's an issue going on out there on Harry Brown Road. They are unable to be with us tonight. I believe the girls have one of their final ball games. So, she has sent a letter. I think we all have received a copy of it. She would just like me to read it. It's not technically considered a quorum issue, but she does feel like this needs to be, given information to the public and to the quorum, and so we're kind of up to speed if something needs to be taken from this. She would like to first apologize for not being here and able to present this issue herself. She does thank us allowing her to submit this in writing and her concerns. I'm very concerned with the new housing development that is being built in Searcy County down Harry Brown Road. Pomeroy Land Development LLC out of Little Rock, Arkansas purchased about 23 acres right along the county road. This narrow shape of property follows the county road for quite a bit. It widens out enough to even build a house with a yard. But the owner of this land development company, Seth Pomeroy, has broken these 23 acres into 7 tracts, as he calls them. Her concern is this property began when I noticed a paint and ribbon along the county road making across our property and our neighbor's property for a water line. A few weeks prior to this, Bruce from Weststone County Water and Fox came to our house asking if he could cross our property with the water line, and I told him he would have to talk to my husband. He never did. When I noticed the paint and ribbons, I started asking questions. After a little research, I have learned that Mr. Pomeroy was in fact getting water to his property without submitting proper paperwork and notifications to the state. A year ago, and this is what her and Victor had to go through, they put in a water line to a cabin, and it was quite an ordeal and a stack of legal paperwork to go with it to do it properly. However, Mr. Pomeroy doesn't seem to have followed the same rules. In fact, he did fail to submit his plat map for subdivision review. He must do a subdivision review if any of the tracts fall below 3 acres. Please see the attached plat map. Mr. Pomeroy did tell the state his land surveyors messed up, but he has yet to submit a corrected survey. His signage still reflects the mess up survey as each tract is numbered and they are clearly marked as 7 tracts. Mr. Pomeroy failed to get the Arkansas Department of Health involved for a water extension or a new 3,200-foot water line. The health department has stopped the water line while they wait for proper paperwork to be submitted. Her true concern is if it's easy for him to get water or electric to these cheaper properties, where does it end? Will he put these lower income housing developments all over our county? If you research his company at all, you will find he is not the answer to the housing shortage in Searcy County. His properties sell for $5,000 to $750 down, owner financing. On his website, PomeroyLand.com, you will see he encourages buyers to bring whatever they would like to live in. He encourages campers, site-built homes, trailers, etc. I know as a county we don't want building rules, zoning, or anything that changes the way we do things. And as a lifelong resident of Searcy County, I would also want to be able to do what I want on the property I own. However, I also feel like we should stand up when we have concerns and make people aware of things going on in and around our county. I ask you please research this land developer who has come to our county, and before we give them permission to use county right-of-ways or anything else, make sure that we've done our research. Sincerely, April Boyd.
Thank you. Any discussion?
This is probably a beginning of something that we'll be facing with growth that we are doing. So it's, I know other counties around us answered this a little bit ahead of us, these kind of things. me of taking somewhat pride